Versatile Mage. Chapter 169 Overdosing on Resources. A nightmare fell upon the new students from the other schools. They had no time to pay attention to how Mo Fan had escaped from the forest of Kun's imprisonment. Dean Seo, what do we do now? Asked the other deans. Can't you see that chaos has overwhelmed the crowd? Although they had not figured out exactly how Mo Fan escaped, what had happened right before them was something that had not occurred in the past 10 years. It was obvious that this scene was going to be even more difficult to handle. Why don't we convince Mo Fan to give up? This is getting out of hand, said Jung Junghua. Previously, they did not think that this would be possible, so they listened to Dean Seo obediently. Who would have thought that rather than just being a competent summoner mage, Mo Fan was also a mage that was able to manipulate intermediate tier lightning element magic. Apart from that, this guy must have hidden a portion of his true strength away, or his winning streak would have been terminated by Mu Nujiao, as she was basically invincible among the new students. Rules are rules. They are not to be broken, replied Dean Seo with a cold humph as he rejected Zhou Zhenghua's suggestion. With a frown, Dean Seo looked at the messy situation and let out a loud shout. His shout echoed throughout the arena and forced everyone to shut up. Enough, this marks the end of the competition. The resources for this current batch of newcomers will be placed under the summoning element, announced Dean Seo with no hesitation. Dean Seo, ellipsis quote. Without giving any chances for the others to speak, Dean Seo said coldly, in truth, the resources given to you this semester are more than enough for all of you. Right now, what all of you couldn't accept is not that your resources are gone, you just couldn't accept that the resources are being given to one person. Why didn't a single one of you jump out and refute the suggestion about the resources of the summoning element being distributed to the others if they defeated less than 100 students? Was it because of the mere 7 students of the summoning element? Was it because they couldn't protest like uncivilized barbarians like all of you are because of their small numbers? Have you all forgotten what I said during the opening ceremony? Have you all forgotten how the rules of how our school cultivate mages? This has never happened throughout the years, and this has proved that we have always been the same for so long without any changes, especially among the new students. Today, I am more than happy that someone finally broke this previously unchanged situation. He might not be able to change the world yet, but this is a good start. Dean Seo's angry and disappointed words struck everyone like raging thunder. Upon hearing his words, those older students who were cultivating in the Pearl Institution all lowered their heads and dared not mutter any more words, let alone the newcomers. If they had disagreed with this before everything started, Dean Seo would have disregarded the idea of letting Mo Fan get all the resources right now. Why did they wait until Mo Fan triumphed against all odds and only started to protest after all of their own profits were taken away by someone else? If the Pearl Institution only took in students like those guys, then Dean Seo would be even more willing to donate these resources to those with greater ambitions and willpower who had failed to enter the association, in order to fully utilize them. At least, those mages out there now knew that the resources were hard to get. At this time, a man with determination and pride stood up and questioned Dean Seo loudly. Dean Seo, what you said is right, but have you ever considered people like us who come from a poor family? We greatly depend on the resources given by the school to cultivate. We have to compete with those rich students that possess a greater amount of resources, and they only paid a tiny bit of effort for the resources they have. Each and every portion of resources means a lot to poor students like me. Facing this question, Dean Seo took down his glasses and glanced at this young man in the audience. Dean Seo was not irritated at all as he answered, because this is a school, you had the chance to ask a foolish question like this. You think Mo Fan was born with a golden spoon in his mouth, you think he came from a rich and noble family, which is why he reached the intermediate level much earlier than you all, correct? Yes, replied the young student. Fine, I did not want to bring this up, but since you have questioned me about this on behalf of the many mages that come from average families, Then I will tell you, this student that plundered all of your resources came from Bow City. Replied Dean Co angrily. Bow City, that Bow City that was in the news about a year ago. The tragedy that happened in Bow City would never be forgotten. According to the statistics, there were more than 100,000 casualties. That day was a day where the blood shed was enough to form rivers. He came from an average family, with average resources, and whatever he had at that time were probably even worse than the majority of you. I think I've said enough, replied Dean Co as he sighed. Everyone went quiet immediately upon Dean Co's reply. That student looked at Mo Fan, who was at the center of the arena, in disbelief. How was it even possible that someone at his age without any resources could advance into the intermediate level? How was that possible? Mu Nu Zhao also looked at the man who defeated her, shocked. In truth, she had taken Mo Fan as one of the strongest disciples of a large faction out there, but who would have thought that he was actually just a nobody from Bow City? No wonder he didn't use any magic equipment. He probably didn't even own one. In the battles between the disciples of the rich and noble families, the use of magic equipment was even more frequent than magic casting. Mu Nu Zhao had thought that her opponent did not use any because he did not want to show off his wealth, just like her. Dean Co, this is all unnecessary attention. Is it really all right for you to expose my information just like that? How am I supposed to chase after the beautiful ladies of the rich after this? Asked a speechless Mo Fan. Haha, I was very angry, and since a great example like you came by very handily, I took this chance. Speechless, Mo Fan shut his mouth. It is very easy to garner hostile attention after becoming the brilliant kid next door that outperformed everyone. Sigh. Fine, so be it. Since I robbed everyone of their resources, no one from the new students will like me anymore. Mo Fan believed that the students who were admitted to Pearl Institute were all people with good morals. However, he would carry a silver needle whenever he went to the cafeteria, just in case. Still, after the competition ended, Mo Fan couldn't stop feeling great. Although the resources were not the core resources given to the students by the institution, just with this amount, he was still happily overwhelmed. In the space of 1 second, he had gone from being one of the poor to one of the rich. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.